Hello and welcome to the Goldenrod Podcast, bringing you some of the latest and greatest Pokemon news and a few laughs along the way. I'm Ben, and as always, I'm joined by fellow Pokemon enthusiast Conor. Before we begin, not you begin, we begin. You can jump around the podcast by using the timestamps in the description below. No editing required. We'll just keep that in. How are we, Conor?
Ups and downs, mates. I've been really unwell the last month, I'll be honest with you.
Again?
Again, yeah, well, that's it. It's been the last few weeks now. It's just, I don't know what it is. My health is just playing up really badly. I was even having a look earlier. I haven't streamed in 20 days, which considering I usually do a stream once or twice a week, that's really bad. I've been delayed on putting videos out. I was working on a script and then physically just couldn't do anything for like 3-4 days straight. So that video I was working on got delayed and delayed and delayed. And today I'm almost glad it got delayed because it would have been outdated by the time it came out.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to know more about this. So shall we, wiggle on to the main section?
Very good. Yes. So to give context to that discussion, I was making a video about whether Paldean Wooper should technically be classified as a Wooper. Should regional variants be classified as the same Pokemon? And today, we got introduced to us Wiglett, a brand new Pokemon for the Paldea region, who is... sorry, not Wiglett. Wiglett. A brand new Pokemon for the Paldea region that looks and acts a lot like Diglett, but apparently is nothing to do with it.
It's strange because when this was announced, I was just at work, so I couldn't really delve into it other than just seeing what was on Twitter, a couple of screenshots, and then just confusion about is this a regional form or not? And the video, so this video, it's the World Pokemon Ecological Society.
That's correct.
Which this is a made up thing for this video, right?
Oh,
it's not something okay, right, okay, because I'd never heard of it, and it reveals a few things around the new games. It's not as heavy as some of the other previous trailers have been, but this isn't a trailer. This isn't what it's here for. It's almost like a real world, it's an in-world exploration. They're explaining, of the from Jack, is it?
Jacques.
So
yeah, Jacques is a professor or he's a teacher at the school that we go to in Paldea.
Right.
So it's suggested that this is Jacques' presentation to the World Ecological Society. And it's a weird bit of marketing because
should we do you want to explain why it's weird?
Because I couldn't get a hold of it.
Yeah.
Apparently it's only on the Japanese and Chinese websites of Pokemon. Despite the fact that it has English translations.
Yes. There's even an English speaker in it.
There's even an English speaker in it. So the video exists for the longest time, because I sent over pictures of Wiglett to Lewis and things earlier. And he was like, well, we can't cover it because it's a leak. And I went, no. It's Sarah B. Joe has announced it. He's like, yeah, but it's a leak. I'm like, no, because he wouldn't do leaks. He's like, well, I need to know where it comes from then. It's like, right, okay. And it has been a real issue tracking down where this has come from. And I know that's not just me, because I've seen it all over Twitter, people going, where is this? What is happening here? Because there's nothing on the official website.
Is it on the Japanese website?
I believe it's the Japanese Pokemon website is where this video has come from. But if you go to the Scarlet and Violet website, there's no announcement of Wiglett as a Pokemon. He's not under the Pokemon section.
Yeah, which there has been for every other Pokemon that's been released. They've all been announced. It's really
an odd
weird
one.
because there's been no fanfare. All the other trailers, everything else that has been around. Okay, we are revealing. I don't know what's up with me today. We are revealing Pokemon. there's been, almost like a countdown on the YouTube channel or a build up to it. And then there's a video on it. And then as soon as the video is done, the website page has been updated with all the new Pokemon and information. And this definitely isn't a leak because it's sourced directly from a official Pokemon video.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't class this as a leak. Don't get me wrong. If this exact video had been, secretly leaked and we'd managed to get a hold of it somehow, then that would be a leak. But this isn't. It's being distributed by some of the usual channels, which makes it even more bizarre why they've gone down this route. And there's no, just to like break down how this works, because it's all Japanese on screen. Then you have a voiceover talking to you and basically explaining what is happening. And then at certain points, you get to complete a survey. So it's not even like it's like a YouTube video, because you can interact with it and you can select an answer. You don't know what answer you're doing because it's all in, I think, Japanese. Am I right?
Well, I assume it's Japanese on the Japanese website or Chinese on the Chinese website.
Right. Okay.
My assumption would be that's the reason they haven't released this worldwide, is because they don't have those translations. But it seems really weird to have the whole video translated, but not the interactive bit. It strikes me as really odd that we're having to like find our way around the advertisement. Like we're having to go hunting for it.
You're right. And the fact that we've been recording for nearly 10 minutes now, and most of it isn't even about what we've seen in the video. It's about the actual video itself and why they've gone down this really bizarre, like Pokemon aren't. They have done weird marketing in the past.
We have to always bring up the 24-hour stream.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one where they did 24 hours of the Galarian Forest? And it's like you saw Impidimp once and you saw Galarian Ponyta once, and that was it.
That was it.
A 24-hour stream just to show you that.
It's weird. I like part. Okay, so just for those of you who don't know, I kind of work in marketing anyway. So part of me is like ecstatic that they just take these ideas and run with them, but at the same time have a bit more of a focus on what are you trying to achieve with these releases. And this video, and I'm saying video, it's a loose video because you can interact with it, but it is, for all intents and purposes, a load of videos stringed together with a click element at certain points. And it's the whole thing is just I've lost my train of thought because it's just so bizarre. The more I think about what they've done, I'm like, what information are you trying to get out here that you couldn't have revealed in your typical YouTube video, which wouldn't have led to as much confusion, probably would have built up more hype around what it is, because at the moment, this video, it doesn't seem to be hype around the information. It's more a confused audience trying to get a hold of, okay, what is this, and what does the elements that have been introduced in this actually mean? And honestly, I don't think we got unlike the last videos where we spoke about how we were really optimistic about what Gen 9 was bringing, this this has almost taken a step back, and it feels so unpolished.
Yeah, it really does.
And just go on. What are your thoughts on it?
So, to add more context to this as well, like, there are, as you say, a number of videos throughout this. More than I realized there was, because I didn't click any of the buttons, because I thought it was a video, so I didn't click the buttons. I just thought I was sitting there for 15 seconds after each clip, waiting for the next one. But no, you can interact with it, and you can choose where you want to see next. So, initially, there's stuff about, like, Abomasnow, and there's stuff about Greedent in the forest that I just missed. Because I don't speak Japanese, I don't read Japanese, so I didn't know what was on screen. I had to use Google Lens to work out what I was doing. But there's a bunch of videos in here. There's, like, as I say, there's an Abomasnow one where you got an Abomasnow, Snover, and the big Beartic standing on the edge of a mountain. And they don't look like they're standing on it properly. Like the mountain is sloped, and they're not. And their feet just aren't interacting with the ground fully. And I'm like,
I didn't see that.
That doesn't look great. And then you see like Greedent eating a berry. And it's just this one animation that's looped for a very long time. And like the berry isn't going down. And the Greedent is just staring.
Not blinking or anything.
It's just staring dead-eyed. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
There's a cool applin in the tree. I like applin in the tree, and it kind of falls down and it rolls off. That looks kind of good.
Yeah.
So there are some positives. But the one that really stuck out to me is, like, you've got Seviper and Zangoose at the very beginning. And, like, there's two of these videos that you have to see. Zangoose and Seviper at the beginning, and Wiglett at the end. And the Zangoose and Seviper is supposed to be like, if these two come into interaction, you've started me doing it now. If these two come into contact with each other in the wild, they will interact and start fighting, which is something that I speculated on previously and was really excited to see. But it looks like garbage.
Okay, you know what? This looks like... So, just to set the scene, the Zangoose attacks, and there's a delay, so it's not even like it's instant. They are reacting to one another. So, the Zangoose attacks, and the Seviper basically spins on the spot like Zacian and Zamazenta in Sword and Shield.
Something I thought we'd got over by this point.
Yes, that was 3 years ago those games came out, and we've still got this issue with Pokemon not feeling like Pokemon, even though some of the trailers have put out the, made you think, they look a bit more realistic and they look like they are interacting with the environment. And I'm not going to lie, Connor, part of me is worried now that those previous trailers, we have been misled on.
So I have certain thoughts, especially considering, like, there's nothing in here that says game footage not final, which worries me greatly. That Seviper does not look anywhere near as good as it did in that first trailer with all the scales and stuff. Zangoose and Seviper are both just swiping at the air in front of him. There's no hint at damage. There's no hint at, like, them recoiling or anything like that. And let's not forget, this game is supposed to have auto battles. So theoretically, my Pokemon is supposed to be able to run out and attack other Pokemon just on its own. So those kind of animations should exist. And this is what they're showing us a month and a bit before release. It's not good enough.
It's really not.
I've been plastered as somebody who, like, hypes up Pokemon a little bit too much, and probably I'm a bit of an apologist, but I'll call it as I see it. This ain't it, son.
No.
And it's disappointing me to the point I'm like, I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know what was pre-rendered and what was actually in-game.
It's funny that this came up, actually, because earlier on when I was thinking, okay, right, I need to message Conor, we need to have a discussion about what we're going to talk about on this week's podcast, what the theme is, what the topic's going to be. My initial thought was going to be, Conor, should we talk about the game's only a couple of months out? Are we still feeling excited for it? Are we still feeling enthusiastic? Are we still feeling positive? Because the last conversation we had, I think we were both very positive on this game.
I have been for a very long time.
Same here. And then this drops, and suddenly it has killed a lot of the hype for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at this game thinking, it looks on par with Sword and Shield, but it actually looks worse than Legends Arceus.
Yeah. And that's it. I think Legends Arceus fixed a lot of these problems.
Yeah.
Like, I remember rejoicing when I saw Ponyta turn around because it, like, moves its legs and turns around correctly. And then you see Seviper here, and it's like, how have we gone backwards? I saw people... There are some good bits in here. Like, you see a Psyduck and a Marill splashing around and swimming, and they can paddle through the water. Okay, that's cool. You see Sandile swimming through the sand. I don't know if you saw that bit.
No, I didn't see that one.
Right, so Sandile can like swim through the sand with just its nose
Okay.
and eyes above. It
Okay.
doesn't look great.
No. Does it look? Hold on. Does it look like the marsh stomp from the Pokemon Journey episode?
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. And it just like glides, and there's nothing behind it that suggests movement. There's no like dust or sand kicking up. There's not really. It's a shame because it almost feels like they've moved towards what I was asking for.
Yeah,
but haven't. Again, great thought. Terrible execution.
But isn't that just GameFreak and Pokemon? I'm not saying it's okay, but isn't that just them at this point? I almost feel like they have reached the point at which they, as a company, can develop Pokemon games. And I don't mean that as in, like, they can never get better. What I mean is the internal resources and skill set is almost at the point where, okay, if you want us to take this next step, you either need to give it to another company, or you need a refresh of the team, or you need to upskill the team in order to, or give them more time. I don't know, but like some of this, look, how like. This, I don't know if you ever played them, but the survive turn on the spot reminded me of the very original Resident Evil games on the PlayStation 1, and the characters just turning on the spot. And it's like they're on just like a rotating platform, because like the way the body moves isn't how a human body would move. And it's the same with this. Like, that's not how a snake would turn around and slither off. Like, it would, like, you know, move, its body would move up and down as it, like, curls back on itself and sneaks off. And what we've basically got is a 3D model that just pivots on one of the axes. And then just, I'm just heartbroken.
Legends Arceus fixed a lot of this. And when it came out, like, how like the production cycle and stuff has changed over at Pokemon, and they did have two teams, one working on Legends, one working on Scarlet and Violet, and they worked simultaneously.
Yes,
but they didn't work together on anything. They worked in parallel, but not in tandem, and that feels like a mistake. So, why are you having two different teams?
No, I know. Yeah,
develop similar though different games.
Yeah,
and you should be sharing all of your assets.
Yes.
You should be sharing everything as you develop it.
You're absolutely right. Like that kind of. So, in terms of, I'm not a game developer. I have never worked in a game development studio. So, forgive me if I'm talking at my ass here. But surely the way you do that is you look at your core team of staff and go, right, okay, you are the game developers. Therefore, you need to split your time across the two games to make sure the gameplay is consistent. And then you take the staff that are responsible for story, that are responsible for Pokemon designs. They're the ones that you probably can split off and go, okay, just touch base every couple of weeks, every couple of months, just to make sure there's no conflicts of interest or clashes or anything like that. You can go off and do your thing. But the game designers, surely they are the ones that are working on every single game. And you then have that progression of whatever they've learned on the previous game development cycle, they then carry over into the new game. What is the... I know what the benefit is, but the question was, what's the benefit of splitting them out into two teams? I don't know why.
More money.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just... What's got to give for them to turn around and go, let's slow it down, improve the games? And unfortunately, it's at that stage now where I don't think anything would do that outside of a Pokemon game being a colossal failure in terms of reviews and reception, and just absolutely bombing and making a lot less than any previous Pokemon game. Outside of that, I don't know what's got to give at this point.
And I don't wish for that.
No,
that's the worst thing.
No,
I want the outcome of that without that result, because I love this franchise. I want to see it do well. I want to see it continue to do well forever and a day.
Yes.
But I just... it does feel like we go. You said it best a couple of weeks ago. It's like one step forward, two steps back. It's like, what are we doing here? Why are we failing on things we worked out already?
And like for and I guess I should touch on this because I obviously recently we've had the Grand Theft Auto leak that happened, and I haven't seen any of that leak, but I have seen what people have been saying about and people kicking off about, the it looks rubbish. The quality, why is it worse than the previous?
The game looks
Grand Theft
unfinished.
Auto?
It
Yes,
is.
because it is. That's exactly why. Like you are complaining about something that wasn't even announced because they weren't ready to announce it, and it's a game that is probably a year off.
Yeah, it's not in a presentable
more.
state. It shouldn't have been presented.
Yes. This is something. This is coming out in November, right?
Yeah, middle of November.
And sure, they will. I know they will be working on things now. They will be putting final tweaks to things. They'll be editing things. I absolutely get that.
Thing is, at this point, any additions they're making, surely at this point, it's like day one DLC or day one updates.
Yeah.
Like, they've got to be putting carts and stuff into production at this point.
You'd think so. But, like, I guess the point I was making with that is, like, you've released this, so you must be happy with it. I don't know how you can be happy with it, but what? I mean, we should be thankful that at least they're not lying to us and they're being, oh, yeah, this is what it looks like, but what?
But it almost feels like you've lied to us before, though.
Yes. But what I don't understand
is... Where have all those textures gone? That's the one I'm most wound up about.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've been very negative so far, and that wasn't my intention.
No, I think it's because we were... like, for me, it comes from I was on such a high, ready for this game, following the last couple of videos that have been released that, yes, there were a few things that, I could nitpick at, but for the most part... overwhelming positive praise because I was so happy with the fact that they seem to be rolling out a game that was bigger than any previous Pokemon game, and it didn't feel like it had many drawbacks from doing that. And it felt like, okay, a lot of the stuff, maybe not all the stuff that I wanted from Legends Arceus, has been introduced or reapplied, and they've even introduced new things. And then this happens. And suddenly I'm thinking watching this is, I know I'm being negative about it, but I know that I'm not going to be the only one. I can guarantee if I went searching on YouTube now, there would be people ripping into this and the animations and it's frustration. Like, I don't want to hate this game. I want to go into this game and when I'm live streaming it and people are popping into the chat and going, what's it like? And I'm like, this is the best Pokemon game ever. You will absolutely love it. It is an improvement on every single thing that came before it. And I honestly think I'm going to play this and go, yeah, it was all right, but I still prefer Legends Arceus. And part of me thinks because that for me felt like a step in the right direction. This game did feel like a step in the right direction until this video came out. And if you haven't watched it, like, go and watch it and let us know what you think on it. Because
if you're on YouTube, I will try and leave a link in the description.
Yes, perfect. Let's talk about some of the positives, shall we? If you have any. Do you have any?
Again, there are some. I think I really like the Applin animation.
Yes.
I really like the Applin in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that idea that, there will be Pokemon just hanging out.
Yeah.
We saw it with the Pineco before.
Mm.
We've seen it with Rotom just hanging around in cities atop poles and stuff like that. I love that. I think that looks great.
Yeah.
The fact that, like, Sandile swims through the sand, I don't think it looks fantastic, but I love the concept.
Yes.
That might be it.
Okay, let's jump on to Wiglett then. Shall we?
Okay.
Yes.
So, Wiglett is... I mean, all we know is it's not Diglett.
Yes. Because they actually say in the video, one of the commentators ask if it's a regional form, and someone else says it's an evolved form. But neither of those are correct, right?
Apparently not. No, because they're like, well, actually, Jacques here says that it eats different food, it lives in a different area, and it's got this big stretchy body, so it's confirmed to be a different Pokemon.
Which, okay, yes. Then why, when it's not stretching, does it look so similar to Diglett? The only difference, well, there's a couple of differences. One, it likes to live near water. Two, it's got a different color palette. And three, whereas Diglett's face is on almost the front of the front of its mole, whatever's sticking up, Wiglett seems to be more towards the top rather than the front. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yes. So what makes me laugh about this a little bit is the fact that the other regional form, or the only regional form we've been introduced to so far, is Paldean Wooper, right? And they say, oh, why would a ground type go near water? And it's like, well, hang on. Wooper is, yes, a ground water type, but the Paldean version has been pushed away from the water and has therefore lost its water typing. So surely it can go the other way.
Yeah, you think so, yeah.
So it's a different color. Well, regional forms can be different colors. It has a different typing. Well, regional forms can have a different typing. It stretches. Well, have you ever seen a lowland executor? Like,
yeah.
The differences aren't enough for me to be able to go, oh no, I can see why that's not the same Pokemon. Now, I did, because again, I wrote this episode today, or I wrote this video today about why is it a different Pokemon. I did come to a conclusion, but you're going to have to watch that to get the answer. There isn't really a, like, so in our real world, we have something similar. It's referred to as convergent evolution, which is when two completely isolated species evolve similar traits because they both overcome a similar kind of issue in the wild. So, for instance, there's two species of anteaters, or two species of creatures that both eat ants and have both developed like the long snout and long tongue. They haven't got a common ancestor, at least not for a very long while back, and have both just evolved to look similar over time because they both overcame the same problem.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
So it does happen in real life, but Pokemon's not real life.
So what's the common thing that these two Pokemon have apparently had to, other than burrowing into the ground? But like, there are many different Pokemon that burrow into the ground, and they're all unique. So what is, like, I'm on board with that train. I'm just trying to like figure this out. Like,
yeah, what is it that they've both had to overcome? Because, you know, for Diglett, it's the fact that it doesn't like the sun. It's brought up in this video, you know. Diglett doesn't like the doesn't like the sun. Its skin is really thin, so it has to hide in shade or underground. So it will only ever poke its head out.
Right, makes sense.
I assume that because this Wiglett is based off like an eel, a type of eel that burrows into the ground. And it stays underground and only pokes its head out. I assume because it gets like washed away by the ocean currents. Go on. I'm going to look some stuff
go
up.
on, dude. So, like, for me, if this Pokemon was underwater, this design would make a bit more sense. Because, you know, if it sticks its head out a little bit like normal Diglett, it's probably not going to be able to reach the fish Pokemon that are swimming close by, which might be its source of, you know, food. Whereas that's why it's evolved to be able to stretch even further, because then it can grasp more things under the ocean, which is needed because obviously the depth of the ocean, fish might not swim down to the bottom of it. But if that's the case and is a water type, why the heck are we showing it on the beach?
Yeah.
Like
because you wouldn't be able to see it if it was in the ocean. So it has to come up onto the beach.
Yeah, you're right. But then why this Pokemon? I don't understand. Every other regional variant I have ever looked at, and I know this isn't technically a regional variant, but whenever you look at, like, you know, Galarian version of Meowth, or Alolan Executor, or Galarian Weezing, they have really, really unique designs that don't look fake, I think is probably the best way. This looks like a fake knockoff that you would see in a ROM hack.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? Like, it just doesn't there's nothing about this that makes me go, I'm excited to see this Pokemon. Every other Paldean Pokemon they have released, I've gone, I cannot wait to get this in game. I cannot wait to see the moves it has, or actually read the Pokedex entries for some of them. This one I look at and go, what exactly are they trying? What are they going for here?
So the garden eel, which is presumably what this is based off of, burrows underground and like pokes its head up. One, to catch plankton, and it will like bring its head back under the ground in order to protect itself from fish, protect itself from predators. So that's kind of the thinking they've gone for, is like, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody at GameFreak went, I want to make a Pokemon based off a garden eel. And they were like, well, you can, but it's going to look like Diglett. And they went, well, why don't we just make it look like Diglett then? It'll be a joke.
Yeah. Because you're right. What is strange is the fact that I've just Google searched Wiglett because I've wanted to get a feeling for what everyone else is thinking, and everyone else is confused as us. Like, Wiglett is a new Diglett-like Pokemon. Someone else saying nobody knows how to react to Pokemon's new flaccid worm Pokemon. You've got other people saying, like, is like people just confused. Like, is this a Diglett? Is it a regional form of Diglett? You've got people on the other side going, no, it's nothing to do with Diglett. There's so much confusion, and yet there seems to be nothing on the actual Pokemon website. That's it. So, like, I'm even looking on Bulbapedia, and it says Wiglett heavily resembles Diglett to the point where some researchers initially confused it for Paldean regional form of Diglett. Like you've already said, the physical resemblance is coincidental. Live in a entirely different habitat with entirely different diet. And the reason they both ended up with this body is because they both like burrowing. Like, okay. So what? This just isn't a. It's not a. All the other Pokemon they've released for this game so far have been so like promising. You look at them and you go, "Wow, this is like." For me, some of them are really well designed. I really like it. Like, I've never been a huge fan of Wooper, but the Paldean version of Wooper. If you'd have asked me at the start of this generation cycle, what Pokemon needs a regional form, I would never have said Wooper, and I'm glad I got it because it looks amazing and it's a Pokemon that I'm definitely going to use. I cannot wait to see Quagsire in this game. And then you got this. And what, like, I'd probably be a bit more enthused if they did what they've done with all the others and announced, its typing, its ability. Like, make it feel like it's a unique Pokemon. They haven't done that. It doesn't feel like a unique Pokemon. It just feels like a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, it does a little bit. I can understand where you're coming from there. Now, I feel like they've tried to play into the mystery of it. It's like, well, researchers don't fully understand it, so neither will you for a while, and you're going to have to go out and discover the mysteries of this Pokemon on your own. And it's like, what, you mean go catch it and read the Pokedex entry?
Yeah. And like
Jacques knows what it is. Just tell me.
Yeah. Literally, can I just like have a dialogue option where I ask him, like, listen, I've heard about this Pokemon. What exactly is it?
Because are we going to get more of these?
These videos?
No, more of these like divergent or convergent Pokemon. Ones that look similar to things we've already had, but aren't for some reason.
But like, let's say they do that. Let's say we get that. Why go from why? Yes, why? but why go from regional forms, which
everybody loves?
Honestly, some of the regional forms I prefer more than the original forms. Like Galarian Weezing is one of the best designed Pokemon. Like, it is so quirky and unique and just ties in with. It makes sense in Galar, and I absolutely love it.
I'm a big fan of the Galarian birds over the Cantonian birds.
Agreed.
I just think they look better.
Yep. And then you've got these. Like, why not just stick with regional forms? Like, and what I don't get about this is, like, we've already had regional forms for Diglett and Dugtrio.
Yeah.
So this likely isn't a regional form. The confusion around it, I'm still unsure. This like why?
They've drawn the connection themselves.
Yes.
And gone, oh, well, it's similar to Diglett. And everybody who discovered it thought it was similar to Diglett, to the point where we've named it Wiglett.
Wiglett, yeah.
And I think in the Japanese name, it translates to just Sea Diglett.
No, really?
Yeah, genuinely. It's like, I can't remember what it's called now. It's Umi something or other. But yeah, it translates to just Sea Diglett. So it's like, it hasn't got, by definition, this Pokemon doesn't have an identity of its own.
No. So
this Pokemon is it only exists to be a reference to Diglett. And because of that, it's not going to have any level of individuality.
Yes.
It can't be... Like, you could turn around and go, my favorite Pokemon is Alolan Raichu. And it's like, okay, there are reasons to like Alolan Raichu over Raichu.
Mm-hmm.
But Wiglett is just Diglett, but white and stretchy. Also, very poor coloring choice.
Yeah, terrible.
Very poor coloring choice.
Terrible. I like, and I think this just what was this video? Just the video where they go, right, okay, we need to release a couple of bad things about this game. Let's just whack it all into one video. Like,
why? Why would you release
I
bad
don't
things
know.
about
But
the
that's
game?
that's what I'm trying to understand about all this. I just don't understand. Who was this for? Who was this video for? Like, who was asking for this? What demographic of their audience were they thinking this video is going to hit the mark? And yes, 99% of people will not like this video, will not get this video, but that 1%, we guarantee they'll go out and buy this game now. Like, who was this for?
That's a very good question and not one I'd considered.
Like,
yeah, no, that's actually a very good question.
Like, what was the benefit? Like, it's not like they have to get out, you know, so many pieces of news before the launch title. Most people are sold on this game. Like, the core people are going to buy this game whether or not you release more news or not. Don't get me wrong, it will help with engagement. It will help to keep it fresh in people's mind and maybe push them towards a pre-order. But it's not like they need to release information. It wasn't like they're sitting there in the office going, oh, like, we have a deadline, you know, we need to get something out by 3:00. And if we don't get something out by 3:00, you know, sales are going to plummet or whatever it might be.
And this isn't for your average audience, because they're not going to find this.
So why just go, let's just not bother? Why release it? Why release something that is just going to, as you can tell from us talking, infuriate or confuse people, which is what it's done to me. Like, honestly, my head is like just absolutely frazzled after this video because I'm just so confused as to. It goes back to that question I know we were joking about, but why? Just why?
I mean, the thing is, right? I've seen, and I do like keep on top of Twitter and stuff like that, as much as I don't post a lot. Some people like it. Some people like Wiglett, and that's fair. He's got a derpy face, but it's just long Diglett.
Yeah.
It is just long Diglett, and from at least most of my mates and stuff who I've spoken with, it's kind of a nothing reaction. It's like, I don't dislike it,
Yeah.
but I don't particularly like it either. It's a thing we have now. It's like, that's not a good trailer then, is it? And I know it's not a trailer, but it's just, what was the point?
What was the point?
And again, this is supposed, it has to be for the hardcore fans. Has to be, because they posted it on 2 websites and made people go hunting for it. And I don't get the strategy.
No.
I don't like a lot of what they showed because it feels like they've gone back on some stuff they showed us previously. And although I love the idea of like, these Pokemon are interacting in the wild. You were right. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't technically, yes. Which is the right kind of yes, I guess, but it's not all there. It's not exactly how I'd have wanted it.
No.
Am I becoming one of those people? Am I becoming that guy who's like, have I hyped it up too much in my own head now? Have I fallen prey to my own expectations?
I don't think we have, though, because whenever we've released some of the videos, we've only really commented. We have speculated on things, but for the most part, it's been okay. This is what we can see happening, and they're the things that we've gotten really excited about, and everything else is almost a wish list. Knowing GameFreak, I'm not going to get 90% of what is on my wish list, and I'm not okay with that. But that's like me being a realist. I'm like, right, okay, I know that a lot of the stuff that I would love Pokemon to do or become, we're not going to get, unfortunately. I don't think we have hyped this up too much. I just think that we were hyped for it, but we were hyped based on the really positive videos that they were putting out.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't meet that level of quality that we were led to believe was coming in Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
And I don't think we were, we were going off base. Everything we were talking about were visually what we could, everything we were excited about were things we could visually see in those videos. And like,
I mean, there's even silly little things about when Wiglett turns around.
Oh
it's,
no.
It's not like the ground it's kicked up like shuffles or moves. It just squishes and twists. And it's like, oh.
Okay. Like, okay, right, that's interesting. So the question that I want to ask is, are you still excited for Scarlet and Violet?
Yes.
But a lot less.
This has dampened it.
Yes.
I think this has dampened it.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think something would do at this point.
No, I didn't either. I honestly, when I saw it and then I saw there was a video, my first thought was, great, I've got loads to talk about on the podcast, which we have, but not the positivity that we had over the last few weeks. And it's GameFreak, why would you release this? Who was this for?
I mean, the other thing that gets me as well, right, is this is supposed to be like ecological research, in-world ecological research, looking at these Pokemon, looking at them in the wild, seeing how they all interact with each other. It's exactly what I've been asking for.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't seem populated.
It seems very empty again, doesn't it?
Seems very, very empty.
Mm.
And I'm more worried now than I have been for the entire release schedule.
Yeah.
And what worries me the most is the fact that we're now so close, there shouldn't be unfinished footage coming out. Everything at this point should be the most polished and the most finalized version of it so that we can demonstrate everything we have to offer. Like, we're not giving away all the secrets, but we're showing you it in the best light.
Yeah.
And it's just, if that's the best light, it's not good enough.
Agree. And it's one of the things that we really loved about the previous trailer, where, like I say, it kind of explained, okay, these are the different routes you can go on, and you've had a bit of information about the first major point for each of them, whether or not it's the different, all the different routes you can take, and the new Pokemon and the gym and the car battle and all that stuff. But they were the first one of what is presumably going to be 8 for each of them. So those gave you enough to go, okay, right, I know what I'm getting into with this game, but not enough to go, oh well, there's no point getting this game. I've basically played it at this point because I've seen everything that's going to come along with it. And like, this revealed a little bit more about what's coming along with it, but not in a positive light, unfortunately. I think, honestly, it'd be interesting to see what everyone thinks of this, and it would be interesting to see what GameFreak does as a reaction to it. If anything, they might put this out and think, absolute success. People are talking about it, which is ultimately what we wanted to do. But like, I've just had a quick look on a couple of Reddit and Twitter threads, and no one seems to be pointing out the same issue with the Zangoose and Seviper part. But I'm not sure if at this point people maybe haven't gotten a hold of the video and are literally just sharing that one screenshot of Wiglett on a beach.
Yeah, because that's what people are talking about, and it's
just
like
Wiglett.
Because it seemed so odd, right? Because there's certain animations. Like, did you know Zangoose's claws can retract?
Like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, I had no idea, right? Zangoose's claws retract.
So
in the
just-
same footage.
Go on.
So they've gone through the effort of animating Zangoose's claws retracting and coming out when it fights.
Wait, have they?
But the Pokemon still don't make contact, which they fixed in Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
And we now go back to that last trailer with you running into the star base and fighting all the Pokemon. I don't know if the Pokemon make contact or if there's just swirling dust.
Oh dear. Right. I'm still going to get this game. I'm still going to play this game. I'm going to give it every chance that I would give any other game. I'm going to explore this like I did Legends Arceus. I'm going to explore every Crook and Nanny. I'm going to take the time to just stand around and see what Pokemon do and see if it does live up to some of the expectations we've mentioned we would like about it feeling real and lived in. But there comes a point where
my hopes are still high. My expectations no longer are.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way. There's a really good way to put it. But if you haven't, please do go and check it out. Let us know what you think. If comment on YouTube or literally send us an email telling us what you thought of it. It'd be really interesting to revisit this next week. And once everyone's had a chance to digest it and look at it, and I'd just love to know what other people think, because all I'm seeing at the moment is people going, "Oh, it's a Wiglett," and then people confused about whether or not it's a regional form or not. That's all I'm seeing at the moment.
Yeah.
Shall we?
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
This has actually upset me more than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's the same here, unfortunately. Let's move on to something a little bit better then. Shall we move on to Pokemon Journeys?
Yeah, let's do it. We finished the first season.
We have. Woo! We are there. 48 episodes of Pokemon Journeys. We have discussed 45 of them. It's time to wrap up the final 3 and talk about them. And then next week we'll be moving on to Pokemon Master Journeys. Is that the
Master
third one?
Journeys?
Master Journeys is the next set of episodes. Right. Okay. So,
which seems like a mistake. I don't know why they did Master Journeys, then Ultra Journeys. It seems they did that backwards.
Yeah, surely Masters, especially with the Master Ball being that. Yeah, anyway. So
it's the Masters 8 as well. So
yeah, yes. That's weird, actually. Now that you mentioned it. Anyway, so this episode. So there's a couple of episodes here, and it's just really. Okay, right. Let's start with the first one, because the first one is the Mewtwo episode, right?
Yes.
Yes. So this was just really weird because the intro's different as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, okay, is this like a mini movie? And it does feel a bit like a mini movie. Just the introduction to this is really weird. Like, it is a film where it's explaining about Pokemon and the Pokemon that live in all the different areas, and you've got all the starters running, which feels like a celebration of Pokemon. Did you get that feeling too?
Yeah, it was odd to see a new intro, and I was like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then I like it. I like the intro.
Yeah,
and you see Hoopa bringing out Reshiram and Zekrom.
Yeah.
You see a bunch of legendaries, and then it transitions quite nicely into all these Pokemon running up a DNA spiral, and it's
yes.
And the Pokemon with all the DNA in their body is Mew.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, we found Mew.
Yeah,
it's sorry, what?
Yeah, that was Mew. That was easy, wasn't it? Yeah, apparently.
Well, it gives out a particular signature, and we found that signature, and I was like, okay, fair enough.
Right, I'm not quite sure. So signature must mean some kind of psychic energy. I'm imagining
something similar to it. I would imagine so. Yes.
How else would that work? And the first thought is, let's not set an expedition. Let's not send out some of the best explorers. Let's send 2 children. And okay, sure, fine, whatever. It's a children's program. Fine, I can get into that. Whatever. And then the first half of this episode is them just exploring this island, which seems quite dangerous at times. This is this is like when I'm watching this, I'm thinking, oh, this is what Legends Arceus needs to be with these Pokemon.
Yeah, it was actually interesting
Yeah.
because Go uses a lot more of his Pokemon than Ash does here.
He does,
And
yeah.
it's quite funny to see that Go kind of built his team around survival. So he's got his Dugong that he can surf on. He's got his Caterpie, which he uses to like Indiana Jones' way across,
it's brilliant.
a thing. He's got the Heracross that can like fly and lift him up and stuff like that. And then he's got his Cinderace for battling, of course.
Yeah.
But it was just an interesting way that they both build their teams. And
definitely,
it was a bit of a shame that Ash's team doesn't come out at all.
Yeah, it doesn't, unfortunately. But the one part that I loved is when Go, I can't remember, but Go's basically like, Dugong, come out and save us from the waterfall. And then it's like Dugong like really swimming, like really fast. And then
gotta go.
Yeah, and then it pans out and it's like it hasn't moved because the waterfall's too powerful. I was like, oh, that was some brilliant comedy and animation in that. Really enjoyed it. But the build up is, it's Mewtwo. Mewtwo's back.
Yep. And it is the original Mewtwo.
So I've got a few questions here. So, the first one's an observation because it is a bit jarring hearing its voice when we've not long watched the movie. I was a bit like, okay, that's going to take some getting used to, but I actually prefer how it sounds in this. It does sound a lot more, it feels more powerful, more, more...
Because he's not as menacing in this.
No.
He's not supposed to be.
He's not. He's a lot more chilled out. It's almost like he's kind of realized what his place is, and it's helping Pokemon that have been mistreated, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And Ash recognizes Mewtwo, and that's because he met it in another adventure, right? There was another Mewtwo movie, is that right?
So there is a sequel, couple of episodes, effectively, that turned into a movie.
Okay.
Or it's a movie that was a couple of episodes kind of thing. Yes, it's a direct follow-up to Mewtwo Strikes Back. I think it's called Mewtwo Returns. Basically, Mewtwo, because at the end he flies off with all those Pokemon.
Yes.
They find a little island with this like reservoir lake at the top of it. And I think it has like specific healing powers or whatever.
Okay.
And Giovanni and Team Rocket show up because they want to drain the lake. And Mewtwo just so happens to be there. They get into a fight. And this time, Ash and the crew show up. They help Mewtwo out. And Mewtwo turns around to him and goes, at the end of the adventure, it's like, look, I'm going to take my Pokemon and leave again. But this time, I'm not going to delete your memories. This time, you should remember this.
Okay. Interesting.
They have since met.
Oh.
Well, I think that same Mewtwo then goes off to wear a cape and stand on top of buildings.
Wait, what?
And look.
Wait,
he looks like Batman.
Wait,
that is a legit thing that happens. Mewtwo wears a cape and looks like Batman. I don't know why. It's never addressed.
What? Wait. What? In what episode is that or series is that?
I think it's just at the end of an episode for some reason. Like, it's never addressed. It's never brought back. It's just at the end of an episode, you see Mewtwo with a cape. And you're like, all right, cool.
Fair enough. Okay.
There is then a different Mewtwo that's brought back in the series to build up to the Genesect movie.
Okay.
That has a similar origin, but not the same Mewtwo because it has a female voice actress.
Oh, okay.
And then that Mewtwo can Mega Evolve and fights Genesect.
Okay. Oh.
But this Mewtwo is definitively the same Mewtwo from the first movie and the follow-up movie because it's still voiced by Dan Green. Who took over in the sequel movie, wasn't in the first one.
Okay.
But yeah. So it's the same Mewtwo as it's supposed to be the same Mewtwo from Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Okay, right. That's good to know. It was good to have Mewtwo back. I think I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit worried because like Mewtwo basically asked like, what are you doing here? What do you want to accomplish? And Go talks about catching every Pokemon in front of Mewtwo. I was like, Go
time and place, buddy. Time and place.
No, cut it out. But like his reasoning makes sense. He explains he does it to better understand Pokemon. That like he doesn't catch it because he's arrogant and
he's a collector.
Yeah,
or he wants to own them.
It's because he genuinely thinks the best way to get close to Pokemon is to catch them, and then obviously spend time with them, get to know and understand these Pokemon and what they ultimately are. And obviously he says, he's just being the mad lad he is, he goes, well, I'm going to try and catch Mewtwo. I'm like, oh, go. Right, okay.
Oh, no, buddy. And even Ash turns around and is like, you want to try and catch Mewtwo? You sure about that one, mate?
Yeah, no, just like, come on.
Good luck with that, fam.
And then Ash decides to challenge him to battle, which I'm like, okay, that is very Ash. Like
That's very Ash.
That would make sense. But like, I'm just there going, this is not going to end well. Like, I've seen the film. He is basically like, in the film, he was unbeatable in a straight up fight, and I was a little bit concerned going to this that they're gonna go, okay, Ash is a better trainer now, and he's able to go toe to toe. But honestly, like
they get wrecked.
Like Mewtwo just absolutely just like it's this, like, what I loved about this is it had that raw power of the Mewtwo in the original film, and still it looks like it's not giving 100%.
Yeah, it doesn't even make any effort.
No, it really doesn't. Like what I did like is that I think it was a bit of a throwback to the first movie where the first attack lands and then Pikachu gets thrown back with Mewtwo's psychic abilities, and then Ash has to jump to grab it, and then he obviously takes the brunt and pushes back. Like, that was a great reference to the
they do that almost all the time in this fight. Like, they're constantly catching their Pokemon that are thrown back at them.
It's just it's absolutely fantastic. And just like Mewtwo is just, I hate to say the word toying with them, because I don't think he's toying with them, more that
he's having fun.
He's having fun, yeah. And he actually says that at the end, like that he's. Does he actually use the word he's had fun, or he's...
I think I enjoyed myself more than I have in a long while.
Yes, that was it. That was it. And like, at the end, Mewtwo just like shows off how powerful it is with that shadow ball.
He just goes full Frieza Destructo ball above his head. And I'm like,
okay, here we go.
Wow, okay. But just proof that the Pokemon Company think that Dragon Ball is better than Naruto, because your clone jujitsu, whatever is like Naring. Oh, I forget what it's called now. Is big like ball that he does, and he does the jujitsu shadow clone style, and all the shadow clones come down. That's what Lucario's doing.
Yes,
and Mewtwo's like, nah. Dragon Ball this.
Yeah, just absolutely just flies up into the air where Ash and Go are like, yeah, we can't come up there. That's like no man's ground. Mewtwo doesn't care though. He just starts off like a small shadow ball. And then, like you say, it's like Dragon Ball Z just like suddenly expands. I'm like, oh, that's bigger than the crater they're in. He's gonna he's throwing it. Okay.
Oh, you're gonna throw that at them. They shouldn't survive that.
Just like this.
I feel like if he wanted to, they'd be dead.
Yes, agreed. I think honestly, watching this and then watching thinking back to the first movie, we're lucky to the human race is lucky to be alive, because if Mewtwo really just thought, yeah, I'm not no holds barred, I'm going for this. Like, it would be like a massive KO. Was Mewtwo trying to teach these two a lesson? Or is it?
I don't think so. I think
because he asked them no, he's still going to chase your dreams.
No, I think he wanted to test their resolve rather than teach them a lesson.
Okay.
It's slightly different. It's a case of like, all right, you've said this. I've come to not necessarily distrust humans as much as I used to, but let's see if you're just full of it. Let's just see how much you really believe in what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then he defeats him, and he's like, you have been defeated. You still want to go there? All right, you do. Okay, fair.
Fair enough.
Just checking.
And yeah, just wanted to double check. Yeah. And Ash mentions the journey's only just begun.
Yes.
So 1,000 episodes of Pokemon, more than 1,000 episodes of Pokemon. And does this mean we're finally wrapping up the prologue of Ash's journey? And we've got another 50 years of this? Of Ash just constantly not aging. The
amount of people who are like, oh, is Ash going to leave Pokemon? No, never. No. It's not going to happen. Get it out of your head.
Yes, he is there until At the end of time,
The death of the franchise.
Yeah, the death of the franchise or the death of the universe. This
Ash just outlives the heat death of the universe. Still 10 years old, floating around with Pikachu. It's like, we're gonna do it, buddy. You and me all the day.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So, I enjoyed this episode. I really did enjoy this episode. It was great just to have this throwback to Gen 1 and the first movie. I still don't understand why these 3 episodes are after the finale. I just don't understand.
Because it's a yearly anime, which means it has to get to most of the year on a weekly schedule.
Okay, right. Okay.
So why did they put them afterwards?
I don't know. No, that's my it just feels really weird that we're doing these 3 episodes before last week's episode.
If this had been the final episode,
yeah,
I'd almost be okay with it because it's like a little
yes.
something special.
Yes. But it's not. We have 2 more episodes. So the next one is
which are direct sequels to each other?
Yeah. So this first one, spoilers, it's an eating contest. We've saved the Galar region, now we're just having an eating contest for our Pokemon. And everyone's here. Ash, Go, Team Rocket have rocked up as well. Because I love Team Rocket's reason for being here. It's so more Pico eating everything. Those little hints and nods that we've got throughout the season are just leading up to
Finally
this episode.
Gets paid off.
We get a payoff that more Pico is eating everything. So hey, why don't we enter it in an all-you-can-eat contest? Makes sense. One thing that I did like about this episode though is it showed the Pokemon using their different skills and whatnot to, in the challenge. So, the Hydreigon eating with 3 heads, but it only has 1 stomach. So no benefit there.
Great joke.
There was a really good joke. I did like that. The Blaziken, just like Gentleman, is it Gentleman Blaziken or something like that? Just eating really slowly.
Emperor
Blaziken, that's the one. Other great things like Chloe apparently body shaming Squavets for just eating. I was like, wait, what? And I tell you what, one thing that I did like about this, it shows Go's strategy, using Bullet Seed with Squavet. So it's it doesn't have to slow down to dig around the seeds. It just eats everything and then spits out the bullet. I thought that was a great little addition.
And it was well set up that smaller Pokemon don't have to eat the seeds. They can eat around them, but it slows them down. It was smart. It was smart.
It was very smart. And again, he showed, one thing I did like about this is it obviously shows that Go hasn't just entered this because I'm bored or anything. He's got a strategy to trying to win, because he's obviously done the Bullet Seed thing. And then there's one around, he gets, doesn't he Squavet or a tomato berry, is it?
Yeah.
To change.
I forget what the actual berry is called, but yeah, he changes it into a spicy dish.
Yeah.
It's too sweet for him.
And then he can eat. I was like, okay, right. There's some good, little lore elements in this. I quite like that. I always like when they mention one of the berries and stuff. Because they don't, in the games, I'm never really one for using the berries. So, seeing them, brought up in this, I love that. And what I did love is, it actually shows that it's something that we've seen in the Pokemon games. There is other ways to use Pokemon for competitions, but we've never obviously had a game based around those, winning via those competitions. What I love about this is it gives those competitions a chance to shine. And it's they're in this world of Pokemon, there wouldn't just be the Elite Four champion battles. There would be so many other variations of different competitions. In real life, how you have, the Olympics, you've got loads of different sports that you can take part in, and each of those sports have the people at the very top of their game. It'd be the same with Pokemon in the different types of competitions. I did like that.
Yeah. This was a fun little episode. I think a lot of the jokes landed for me. I especially like the ending joke where How Go wins. Just more Pico finally fills himself up.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And Emperor Blaziken can't eat the Torchic,
And they actually, what I love about that is they actually take like 2 minutes to explain it. I'm like, we know, everyone knows Blaziken at this point involved with Torchic, and everyone's just going. I just love the animation as well because like it
just
lingers.
looking at it like, no,
just
my children, and it like picks them all up in his hand. It's like, I will take you home. You will be safe with me.
It's just absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and
Very good.
and like. Okay, question for you. Squavet evolves from eating, apparently. Like, is that not against the rules? Technically, it's a different Pokemon. Like,
No, surely it's the same Pokemon.
Okay, right.
In a sense, Pokemon evolution is still something that's being tried to be understood by researchers across the world, so you couldn't necessarily disqualify someone for it because nobody knows exactly why or when it happens.
Okay. Okay, right.
There you go.
Hey, just lay that knowledge down on me. Should we move on to the last episode of this series, which...
Yes, a direct follow-up where for winning the eating contest, they get an all-you-can-eat pass in Unova.
Okay.
So go to Unova to eat all they can.
Yeah, and while they're over there, they run into Hikachu.
Hikachu.
It's Hikachu, right?
It is Hikachu.
Right.
So Meowth creates a Pikachu robot.
Like, okay.
That he refers to as practically Pikachu.
Yeah.
Because it is identical.
Yes.
Down to like the tiniest little movements and facial expressions. Other than the fact that it can't say the word Pikachu. It says Hikachu.
just
such a dumb setup.
Yeah.
And the reason it has to say Hikachu is so that when they get close enough to like swap them out, they don't swap them out immediately.
Yeah.
Pikachu and Hikachu run off, and then they're like eating the ice cream, and it's on a stick. And Pikachu breaks off the stick, and he's like, "Here, you have half a stick." So now we've both got half a stick. So maybe the audience isn't going to even know which one of us is the real one now.
Yeah.
And then Hikachu eats the stick because it's a robot. And it's weird like that. And then Pikachu's like, okay, I will also try to eat the stick. It gets stuck in his throat. It goes, ha, Hika, ha. And then Team Rocket go, oh, well, that must be Hikachu. So we'll take the other one. So they run off with their own robot. Lucario and Cinderace both see this and are like, I'm going to go see Pikachu and run off. Ash and Go don't care.
They don't at this point.
For this entire episode, they're like, nah, they'll be fine. It's like, dude, those are the two Pokemon you've raised the most during this series. And you're like, let them run around in Unova. I'm sorry, but if I lost a big fire-breathing rabbit, I think I don't even think for my benefit I'd go looking for it.
No.
It'd be for other people's.
People kick off if you'd like dogs off the leash, like when it shouldn't be. Like your Pokemon is just wandering off together. Like, and we've seen that Pokemon can have gangs. Like we've canonically seen this.
Yes. This exact Cinderace is known to be gang affiliated. Oh no!
This is just what is this episode? So Lucario and Cinderace team up, but then they get like their hands get caught in goo, which leads like, is it goo? It's something. Is it some sticky?
It's some kind of like rubber glue thing that sticks their hands together.
So then,
and they're at loggerheads
Yes.
because Cinderace got muck on Lucario's fur.
Yeah. Which is
because
okay.
That's the one thing we've always known about Riolu and Lucario is it likes its fur clean. Yeah.
So anyway, the two work together to save Pikachu or Hikachu. Yeah, and then Team Rocket blast off as normal with the fake one, thinking it was the real one until the last minute.
Yeah, it's kind of a nothing episode.
It really is.
You're supposed to get this like connection between these two characters who have like grown all throughout the series, but the characteristics they give to them are not the same ones they've had all the way through.
Agreed. There's been no point in this series where these two have been at at each other's throats, or so it just feels like, okay, this is just a bit of forced drama for what? And I know we've just been laughing at it, and it makes it seem like, oh, this episode must have been really funny. Like, it's more our observations that I think that were funny than the actual episode. Like, I was half watching thinking, okay, there's not really a lot to talk about other than I think what we've already touched on. Yeah, these last 3 episodes weirdly placed.
Very, very weirdly placed.
And I personally would have preferred them in front of the last 3. I would have preferred to kind of wrap up the series at, Ash and Go, the legendary dogs. I have got a question for you though. What have you thought about this season as a whole, looking back? Because this is the second time you've watched this season through, right?
So this is the second time I watched it. The first time around, I was like, oh my God, this is the best series of Pokemon we've ever had. I can't believe it. Oh, I'm so glad it's come back to something so strong. I'm still glad I've come back and watched it. I think on a rewatch, and probably because we're like breaking it down week by week as well, I've seen maybe some of the flaws are in there. There's still my most hated episode of Pokemon ever, which is Pikachu walking out on Ash.
Yes.
I still despise it. I still think that's horrendous.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I love the concept of this show. I love the direction they've taken the anime in. Go has kind of grown on me throughout the series again. I don't hate him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again.
Yeah, I think I would too. It's from my point of view that someone who hasn't really watched it since Johto Journeys, and even Johto Journeys, I was in and out of it. It's been good. It has been really good to come back. I like the fact that it didn't just trot the same storylines as the games. I think that was something that was in its favor, because you didn't know what was coming up, and it wouldn't then fall into the same beats that the other series have fallen into, from my understanding of, Ash starts off a new journey, he's not got the same team, he gets the starter Pokemon, he loses against someone who he probably shouldn't lose against. One thing I really did love about this series is that, okay, Ash is a seasoned trainer at this point. He can hold his own against some of the best, and ultimately what beats him are trainers at his own level or above him, which makes sense. I think in terms of like any series, there are some episodes that I just, like, thinking back now, can't remember or wasn't that fussed about. But that's the same with any series, even, big TV programs, they will have filler episodes. Whatever, fine, you have to have them. I understand that. I think what I would have liked is, I think I would have liked a bit more of Galar. And some of the characters from Galar. But we have got 2 more seasons of this, which makes me think we're probably getting them over the next 2 seasons, which is...
Okay, don't get your hopes up.
Oh, really?
I was watching a breakdown the other day, and it's like 13 episodes across 13 to... Oh, it might be in like 23 episodes across the entire 3 series.
Wow.
Focus on Galar.
Is that
outside
it?
of like the Masters 8,
Yes.
which just so happened to be there.
It'd be there, yeah. Oh, that okay, right. Well, I'll withhold judgment until I've seen them. But I still stand by what I was saying last week, that Bede, Marnie, I'd take or leave them, but Hop should have been in this series. Like, flat out, he should have been in it. And whether or not you replace Go, or you have, Hop
just a rival that pops in and out.
Yeah, he should have been in there, because then you've got a greater tie with Leon. And to be quite honest with you, like, in the games, the dynamic between Hop, because you hardly see Leon in the games. He pops up every now and again, but you see Hop a lot more, and you learn more about Hop, his story. He wants to be the best trainer. He really looks up to his brother, and just knowing that he's probably going to fail that journey, but how is he going to overcome that, and what is he going to resolve to do at the end of it? And that should have been in this, unfortunately. I hope we get Hop, because I really do think he's underrated in terms of a rival that does get a nice amount of development for, a Pokemon game in terms of character development. But I'm hoping he's in it. I think it has been a good series. like I said last week, there's a few things that I would have loved to see in here to make it a great series.
Yeah.
But I'm
overall, looking forward to the next one.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward. I really am looking forward to the bigger battles towards the end. I know that Ash is going to get to the top ranks. I don't know how he gets there. I don't know what the journey is, but I'm looking forward to seeing the big, if they are 6-on-6 battles. I'm looking forward to just seeing how they progress and just seeing where Ash ends up, because I have no idea. He's champion of the Alola region. What does that mean for him moving forward? Will he get, will he achieve his goal? Will he get, top 3, top 5? Who knows? I'm just looking forward to seeing where that all ends up.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, go on.
Right now,
yes,
I want to play a game.
Oh, you want to play a game? This guy's absolutely. Oh, okay, right. You've thrown me there, but that's okay, because I'm pretty sure that my Pokedex entries are going to throw you up. So, in front of me, as usual, I have 3 Pokemon with 3 Pokedex entries each, and Conor has to guess the spot. Guess the spot? What? Guess the fake.
Guess the spot.
Guess the
Is
spot.
it Leonard D-Boy?
Yes. How did you know? Guess the fake
because it was either
entry.
him or the guy who cuts people's heads open and eats their brain.
Wait, what's that?
It's the same actor. Don't worry. Moving on.
Okay, right. So, the first Pokemon is Squavette. A pest Pokemon throughout the region, Squavette won't stop eating until both its stomach and cheeks are unable to hold any more food. Second Pokedex entry. Found throughout the Galar region, this Pokemon becomes uneasy if its cheeks are ever completely empty of berries. And the third and final Pokedex entry. It eats berries non-stop. A habit has made it more resilient than it looks. It'll show up on farms searching for yet more berries.
That third one. Right, so I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
It might be the second one.
Okay.
But that third one felt wrong.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with the third one, knowing that you're going to tell me it's the second one.
No, it's the first one.
It's the first one?
It's the first one. I was really happy with how that one turned out. I was like,
fair play to you.
That feels like a real one. So the second Pokemon is Morpeko. First Pokedex entry. I don't know what's up with me today. I don't know what's going on. Intense hunger.
Words are hard.
Words are very hard. Intense hunger drives it to extremes of violence, and the electricity in its cheek sacs has converted into a dark type energy. Second Pokedex entry. Hunger hormones affects its temperament. Until its hunger is appeased, it gets up to all manner of evil deeds. And the third and final one. One of the happiest Pokemon you can find. That is until it becomes hungry and switches forms to cause mischief for its trainer.
Okay. I am between the first one and the third one. The first one said it was... All right, was the first one saying it did evil deeds?
No, that was the second one that says about evil deeds.
That was the second one.
Yes.
Can you read the first one for me again?
Sure. Intense...
Oh, it's the dark type energy from its cheeks.
Yes, that's the one, yeah.
Which is one move that becomes dark type. Not all of it's electric. So that's wrong. But I've done this before where I'm like, that Pokedex entry is wrong. It's that one, and it's not that one.
Okay.
And I feel like the third one isn't right, but then the second one says evil, and it's only evil in Japan, and you wouldn't say it does evil things. I don't think there's a Pokedex entry that says evil things. Oh, Ben!
Wow, this is it. Okay, right. I'm quite happy then that this has tricked you up, because I can confirm 2 of these are real. So, but which is weird, because I have to this day. Oh no, I can't say that because it'll spoil it. Well, can I? Okay, I'll explain after.
Second one,
no, it's the third one, which
it was the third one.
Ties in quite nicely.
Myself out.
Yeah, because what I was going to say is I've never seen a Pokedex entry that mentions evil or evil deeds. But yeah, it's in the Sword and Shield one.
Yeah. I psyched myself out. I thought it was the third one. It felt like the third one, and then I just had to go back and question myself over and over and over again.
Okay. You're right.
Feels bad.
The third and final Pokemon. Let's see how bad you feel after this one. So the third and final Pokemon is Blaziken. So, first Pokedex entry. Blaziken has incredibly strong legs. It can easily clear a 30-story building in one leap. This Pokemon's blazing punches leaves its foes scorched and blackened. Second Pokedex entry. It learns martial arts that uses punches and kicks. Every several years, its old feathers burn off and new supple feathers grow back in their place. Third and final Pokedex entry. Under its thick feathers, this Pokemon has developed muscles. The longer a battle, the stronger Blaziken becomes as it powers up its speed. No, sorry. The stronger Blaziken becomes as its power and speed ramp up.
Okay, interesting. Because it feels like the third one is addressing Speed Boost, which is a hidden ability, so it wasn't even there early on. So is it a later Pokedex entry? They don't usually address the abilities and stuff like that. But the first one struck me as odd because it like finished and then just kept going. And I know I've written these sometimes and you look at it and you go like, that's not enough information. I'll just tack a little bit on the end.
Yeah, okay.
So for that reason, I'm going to go with the first one.
It's not. It's the third one, I'm afraid. The first one was about the 30-story building in one leap, which I thought would sound quite fake, which is why I included it.
Oh, no. I like that. What was the one where it's like, it has...
The feathers growing back in its place.
No, the first one did like...
Blaziken...
It's got really strong legs.
Yes.
And then...
so...
It does one leap, and
yes.
then it just says, it can also do punches.
Right.
It's like, why did you include the bit about the punches? That wasn't necessary. You just gave me a really good breakdown of this Pokemon. Why are you just adding a bit on the end? Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, it looks like that's 0 out of 3. So I've got to come back next week with ones for you.
Yes, I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to that. So you could probably research my Pokemon because I typically choose Pokemon from the episodes that we've watched, and I know that doesn't narrow it down to a point where it's like really easy. But
I wouldn't.
Would you?
Because that defeats the point.
Yes, it does. But
that becomes more of a memory test than
it does.
My knowledge of Pokemon, which is what I think these games are supposed to be.
Agreed. But and to be fair, we've kind of gotten to the point now where I'm second guessing whether or not we've done some of these Pokemon when I pick them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad.
You're like, there's 1,000 to choose from. How am I still getting lost?
I'm glad.
Have we done Blastoise?
Because honestly, like, it's when I was reading that Blaziken, and I was just sat there going, I swear, one of us is read this before. But anyway, so we'll be back with more of that next week. It's time to move on to questions from Discord, YouTube, or what people have sent us. Connor, have you got any? Because I forgot to pull some up.
I thought you might have. Well, pull up the Gmail, because we did say if anybody emails us, we will read it out immediately. So
okay,
pull that up.
Okay.
We do have one from I Am Solomon.
Oh yes, yeah, Tony.
Yep. Oh, is that Tony?
It's
is
Tony.
It? Fantastic.
Yeah.
There you go then. So, if you were the professor for your own town in the Kanto region, who would be your 3 starter Pokemon for the trainers beginning their journey?
Ooh,
there is a follow-up to this, which is, for me, I've always said my choice of starters would be Oddish, Growlithe, or Krabby.
Okay. So have we got to go for fire, water, and grass? Is that what
I don't think you have to.
Okay.
But I think there is... Because obviously we were talking last week about it being Eevee, Pikachu, Clefairy. So it's just 3 starters. 3 starter Pokemon.
Oh,
but presumably Kanto based.
Yes, agreed. I mean, I see... I know, I was going to say I see the theme there, but there's no... like because some of them evolve via stone, some of them have more than one evolution. So I kind of feel like there needs to be a theme. Like... something that kind of all 3 Pokemon have in common. So I think for me what would be quite unique is perhaps going for, and you'd have to rework the movesets a little bit, but maybe like Abra, Machop, and Ghastly, because then you've got that little triangle going on of type effectiveness. And they all have the same gimmick, i.e. you can get the second evolution, but to get the third evolution, you need to trade them, so I quite like that. And it give some Pokemon a chance to shine that in the early game that typically you don't get until later on in the game as well.
Yep. So I'm going to... I like the idea that you've gone with there, the Growlithe, Oddish, and Krabby. I think you're right in the fact that they're not sharing the same amount of evolutions or the same style of evolution.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rework it slightly and say that it should be Growlithe, Staryu, and Execute.
Yes, that works as well.
So you've got that Grass, Water, Fire, but they all evolve with stones and they all evolve once.
Ooh, Okay, I like that as well. That was I like that question. That was really nice. And I like our answers as well. Really did like it. So we still have nobody email. Why does no one want to email us? Why
Nobody uses email anymore.
we I tell you what we really need to do. We should probably start pushing the Discord, shouldn't we?
Yes, we should.
Should we point?
There is another question.
Go on. Oh, okay, yeah.
From Poketype League, which is a new name. I've not seen
I think
that
they
one.
asked a question last week off the top of my head. I swear. I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. Go on.
Oh, I apologize then. In Kanto, you beat your rival to become the champion. But who do you think your rival beat?
So the way I've always thought, because like the way it works is like you have the Elite Four in every region. You have the Elite Four, then you have the champion. So yes, technically Blue must have beaten somebody who's then like been carted off. But like the other way to I think look at that is maybe there was no champion because and Blue's just happens to be the first one that's beaten it maybe in its current incarnation and therefore is the new champion. And it might be the case that the only reason they let Red and Blue fight is because they are so close to turning up at the same time that like, okay, nothing like this has ever happened before. We've never had someone beat the Elite Four, but then somebody else beat the Elite Four within, moments, like maybe hours or something like that. But then it's like, but surely the Elite Four's been there a while. It feels like it's old in that game. It's not like a Lola where it's like, they're constantly going, oh, we're building it, it's building up. It feels like it's been there for a while because they're very experienced trainers that are running the Elite Four. Mm-hmm. What about you? What do you think?
So the champion before Blue was Professor Oak.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. I think he just abdicated. I think he just kind of went, I'm done. I'm done with being the league champion now. You are the Elite Four. And it's weird to get around the politics of it. But I think he basically went like, look, whoever beats you four next will be champion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to fight anymore. I'm done. I'm out. But none of you can be champion because none of you can beat me.
Makes sense, yeah.
So whoever beats you next happens to become champion. Or, maybe it should have been like, maybe he fought Professor Oak? I don't think so, because Professor Oak shows up late and he's like, Blue. In fact, Professor Oak was coming. Professor Oak was coming to see Blue. He was coming there to be like, oh, I heard you beat the Elite Four, so I came.
Yeah.
Maybe he was rocking up to be like, I'm going to go challenge you now because you're the champion. You got to take me out.
Maybe.
Once you show up and it's like, oh, well, you already beat Blue? Oh, well, I guess you've already had your champion match then. Don't worry about it.
Because for me, like, the Elite Four would always be there. That's their job. Whereas the champion doesn't feel like you would always be waiting there because the amount of people that probably wouldn't get past the first couple of trainers in the Elite Four. And because of how close he lives, and he just gets a phone call.
It's interesting because Red gives up the champion. Like, he is the champion, but he hands it off to Lance.
So there is precedent.
So that he can go off and train.
So people can just go, okay, I'm out. Like, someone else take over. Because
I did it. Somebody else can run it.
Okay.
It's, fascinating.
And just to add to that, there is game data, isn't there, for Professor Oak's team?
The final battle with Professor Oak, yeah.
And that is why no one else could beat him because he was, like, the strongest. That would make sense, him having a team of 6 that are so powerful, because the only people in that game that have a team of 6 are you, if you choose to, Blue, with the final fight, and Oak, which implies that you have, there's a reason why you have so many Pokemon. It's because you've built the best team possible. So, okay, maybe Oak was the champion then.
But do we think that Blue beat him? Or did Blue even have to fight him?
I don't think so. No. I think we're agreed on that.
Blue just gained the title by beating the Elite Four.
Yes, agreed. Absolutely agreed. Why do we know? I know we're going on a tangent here. Why did they not include that Oak battle?
I don't know for sure. I think it's kind of. I don't know. I don't know is the answer. Because again, the date is there.
Yeah,
you can hack that fight in, and like he uses the extra starter that you leave behind.
Which I
they
love.
Brought all that back.
Yeah,
they brought that back for Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here's the champion. It's me. It's Kukui. And here's the starter that you left behind. You know, Leon does it in Sword and Shield. It's like, here's the starter you left behind. They bring these ideas back way later on.
It is weird, actually, that, isn't it? Okay. I love that question. That was a great question. If you've got a great question that you want to ask, then comment or, leave it as a comment or question on the YouTube video. You won't, but you can email goldenrodpod@gmail.com. And my promise is still there that if you email it, we'll answer that question. And we'll probably put the Discord link down below in the description. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Right. Shall we make like a bath and talk about plugs?
Let's do it.
What have you got coming up?
So, as I stated earlier, I have been working on a video for a couple of weeks now, and now the script is done. I will record it at some point, either tonight or tomorrow, get that sent over to Lewis, hopefully get that out like next week, maybe. Fingers crossed if I put him under crunch time, about when is a variant not a variant.
Okay.
When is convergent evolution not the same as just normal evolution?
I like that. That'll be a really good one. And it's very apt that it's coming out, around the time of Wiglett, a fan favorite. In terms of what I'm working on, I've had a week off from YouTube simply because pretty sure I'm doing a series with has been A, on holiday, and then B on well, actually it's been more than a week. It's been like 2 weeks. So just been doing a little bit of Radical Red and a few other things. But honestly, I've had not a break, but like a mini break from content at the moment. So I have like loads of YouTube videos that I need to catch up on. Got a few things I'm just working on the pipeline, but I don't want to talk about it here at this stage because like it takes me forever to get content out. But yeah, I have things I want to get out there. And that's the show for this week. If you've gone this far, you're just a top dollar, aren't you? Connor, where can we find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Captain Fidget or on Twitter at CapFidget.
Ace. And I'm Ben. You can find me as Professor Hohen Gaming on YouTube and Professor Hohen on Twitter and Twitch. As for the Goldenrod Podcast, you can find us on the usual platforms. Search for Goldenrod Podcast on YouTube or on your usual podcast app. Leave a like on YouTube or a 5-star review if you're listening as a podcast. We'll be back next Friday for another week of Pokemon Podcast.
See ya!